You're listening to the Mackay Safety Our Clients podcast, brought to you by 4PS Software and the Bullion Group. You can find out more about safety compliance and safety management and the implementation of systems, independent audits and incident investigations by going to mackaysafety.com.au.
Welcome to the Mackay Safety Our Clients podcast, brought to you by 4PS Software and the Bullion Group. I'm your host, Kieran Moran. The Mackay Safety Our Clients podcast is designed to assist businesses become safe, as we believe safety forms the foundation for a successful and accountable business. Mackay Safety's clients span all industries, including mining, construction, rail, ports and engineering, and range from small to medium enterprises to major multinational corporations. It's our goal for these podcasts to not only assist you with implementing safety systems and procedures, but through listening to our clients' stories, understand the importance of safety within your own business and how you can make everyone involved, including you, your staff and your clients, safe. On this episode of the Mackay Safety Our Clients podcast, we have JSIS Engineering Contracts and Quality Manager, Anthony Huth. Founded in 1988, JSIS Engineering is a diversified engineering solutions company providing both national and international clients with market-leading polyurethane products, water management solutions, mechanical and wash plant maintenance, and other engineering services and solutions. Overseeing the staff in the contracts department of JSIS Engineering and their on-site crews, Anthony is committed to developing and maintaining long-term relationships for the business and assisting with the day-to-day running of the department whilst delivering their clients' quality goods and services. Welcome, Anthony, to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Kieran.
So let's first get off. JSIS Engineering, what do they do?
Yeah, mate, we're specialised in typically in plastic manufacturing or engineering. We have a range of polyurethane products that we manufacture ourselves in our North Mackay facility. And then we also have on-site services which typically revolve around plastic piping, which is a polyethylene product, which is commonly known in the industry as HDPE piping.
So polyethylene product, why are people using it at the moment?
The HDPE component virtually as the plastic piping, it has a lot of benefits throughout the industry. It has a greater life than typically of steel products or other stainless steel or other different products that can be used. And it also has a better wearing compound. A lot of them have different ratings, so you can get them for high pressure or lower pressure applications. And the difference that changes is only in the wall thickness rather than the outside diameter of the piping itself.
Okay, so let us know the type of projects that you are working on or have in the past worked on, and where those products are being used extensively.
Yeah, we service a great deal of mining customers throughout the Bowen Basin. Typically our biggest customer is BHP Billiton, and we service regularly their Goonyella Riverside, Peak Downs, Saraji plants, and also South Walker, which is part of their BMC component. So those 4 plants, 4 sites in particular. We also do some works down at Blackwater mine for them as well. And then we also service other clients such as Glencore, which are on their Newlands and Oakey Creek facilities.
So what's the expertise within the business? What do you see as the main expertise?
Our main expertise are definitely around our polyurethane and mechanical maintenance services that our on-site crews give. I think the thing that stands us out from majority of our competitors is definitely our safety. We have a tremendous safety record, which is a credit to our crews, and we can only achieve that through good people and good leadership, which is provided by our supervisors on site.
We'll get into a little bit of the safety later, but in relation to, I suppose, certification to be able to do this type of work, it'll be right up there.
Yeah, that's correct. We're an accredited company for with JSIS for ISO 9001, which is quality, 14001, which is environment, and 45001, which is safety. But also back on our polyurethane products that we manufacture here in our North Mackay facility, we actually comply with a compliance code called MDG 3608, which is a FRAS, which stands for fire retardant and static compliance. and that's typically for servicing the ever-evolving industry and safety demands of the Australian underground mining companies.
And yeah, that's one area that I did wanted to talk about with the underground mining. So specifically for that, and of course, there's it's been going for a long time, and we all know that. And there has been some recent issues, and there always are some issues, especially with safety. But when you mentioned there with the fire retarded and so forth with the products, what's some of the main things that you are doing underground?
Yeah, a lot of the components that we make for underground services at this stage are along the pulleys or roller mechanisms.
Yep.
So we actually have certification, the MDG 3608 certification for minor conveyor accessories, which those puller and rollers will fit into. Then we do ventilation sheeting, which is actually, they commonly call them drive-through curtains, or a lot of them will be just skirting facilities for conveyor belts or underground mining equipment. And they're basically a wear-resistant product. So they, for the curtains on the outside or for the underground mine, they actually stop the gases from escaping from the mine. So they keep the mine as a sealed component. And then their vehicles are able to drive through and drive back out. So each time they go through those doors, basically, or the curtains, they then reclose to keep everything underground.
And how is give us a typical day, I suppose, of some of the workers that you do have with installation underground?
Yeah, so a lot of our services for the underground are just a supply contract only. So we mainly just supply all the goods to the people, to the clients, and then they either install them themselves, or if we are to install them, typically we'll install them during longwall shutdowns, or which will actually be, the items will be returned typically to Mackay, and we'll actually fit them while they're here in our yard.
So as you said, while you're there in your yard, but also with the manufacturer, it gives an idea of the manufacturing plant that you do have.
Yeah, the facilities that we have here, we have about 3 sheds in our North Mackay yard, and two of those sheds are full-time operational facilities, manufacturing the polyurethane products. Across the board, we probably have around about 6 different types of ovens that are available to us of different nature and different sizes, so that we can produce large sheets, or as we said before, large pulleys, which can be, some of the ones we've done before in the past are 1600 millimetres in diameter. So, you need quite a significant area to complete a lot of the tasks that we do.
Okay, so I'd like to you've been with them for about 16 years yourself with JSIS Engineering. That's correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you oversee staff in the contracts department and so forth, and which purchasing, estimation, maintenance, and manning as well. I'm just stalking you on LinkedIn, and what have we got there? So before that, you were a manager with Kmart. That's a fairly big change. Well, in respects, you were managing departments and so forth within Kmart, but it's a big change in relation to the industry.
Yeah, definitely. When I first started with JSIS, as you said before, 16 years ago, I had come from the retail industry. So I was, my previous employment prior to JSIS was with Kmart here in Mackay for a 5-year period. And prior to that, I was with Harvey Norman, which I owned a franchise in Tasmania, and also worked for them in Melbourne and Mackay as well as a manager.
And what experience has that given you to I suppose a lot of it's about managing people, isn't it?
Definitely managing people and situations. So it's given me a lot of skill sets across my time, which I've been able to utilise here at JSIS, as well as them providing me with additional training to continue on with my role here and be able to deliver and develop further as we need.
And what made you move over to something like JSIS Engineering?
It was definitely it was a time for a change for me at that particular time with Kmart. We were going into what everyone nowadays knows as just the norm, which is 7-day trading. And yeah, it was typically something that I had made a decision on to say that I wanted to spend some more time with my family, and rather than working typically 6 to 7 days in a week, in retail, I decided to go a different avenue, and I'm thankful that they gave me the chance.
Okay, let's get back to JSIS Engineering. In relation to, so a lot of what you do is really based within the safety of the industry, isn't it, with the safety products that you develop?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a big part of our business, working with mining. Obviously, mining has a high focus as well on safety and the safety of their people. So, a lot of these polyurethane products that we are supplying, especially to the underground services, as we said before, fire retardant, anti-static. It's actually to avoid, and through the anti-static side, the actual chance for ignition, as it's a plastic product, and it also then has this additive made to it to make it even less less static. And then obviously if it was to catch fire, it would only remain in flame for X amount of time and it would put itself out.
And I'd also imagine with staff and so forth as well, with on site at JSIS Engineering, there would be also a strong safety values going across the company.
Definitely, that's right. Yeah, especially with our on-site teams, we need to comply by regulations through the Coal Mining Act and other trainings that different sites require us to have. So that's where we utilise our external training organisations to provide our men with certifications and then provide them to our customers.
And a part of that, of course, and as it is Mackay Safety, Our Clients podcast, you got Mick and his team at Mackay Safety supplying you and assisting you with a number of systems and implementing them across the board. Give us an idea of what Mick does provide for JSIS Engineering.
Yeah, I suppose with Mick, we met him many years ago. Excuse me, and JSIS decided to... I think we were one of the first customers of Mick's actually for their 4PS system, which actually looks after people, plant, process and procedures. For JSIS Engineering, we took that on board and we have been a long-time subscriber to the system. It's a great system. We typically here only use it for our people and plant. So what it does for our people side of things is it actually gives us the ability to track their competencies. So those trainings that I was talking about before for our on-site services teams, we actually have the facility through Mick where we can then scan those certificates and add them to a system. And we can also input data as in personal details of each employee, different competencies that they have, and then we're able to generate tables from that to actually let us know we can schedule works through there, and it'll pick up and tell us who's compliant and who has the correct ticketing that's required for a certain job. And the other component we use it for is for plant, and that's where we can actually input our assets into the system and we can track their locations or scan them in and out from different jobs.
Can you recall what it was like before you implemented the 4PS system?
Yeah, it was a nightmare. We had to do it all manually based. We had designed ourselves some Excel spreadsheets, which we thought were the best thing since sliced bread, but obviously they all had downfall. With mixed system or the 4PS system that we have, it actually gives us and generates reports. And we can pick the periods that we want those reports to be generated, and it comes through and explains to us that all the different items that are either outstanding for services or outstanding for expiry of trainings and things that are going to lapse within the next period. So for us, typically here we use the 60 and 30-day periods, and that gives us enough time to get those things rectified.
And how's it gone in relation to COVID? Has it Well, you've had 4PS on there for a while, and Mackay Safety and so forth with what you're doing, but how has it maybe assisted you during COVID, or what's some of the issues that the business has faced during COVID?
Yeah, for us during this COVID period, I suppose it has definitely, the issues have definitely arisen from the ever-changing rules and development, I suppose, of the governments that have happened. The systems themselves have definitely helped us out across the board, whether they've been through the COVID situation or outside of COVID. We have found that we have been able to actually continue our works as per the normal, and the system is actually being utilised at the moment to store, obviously, COVID vaccination results and details through the 4PS system. So we actually have that in the 4PS system coming out telling us when people are eligible for booster shots, say, for example, at the present time, and when they were originally available to have their second dose, those types of things.
Now, as we know, to be able to get on site, and not that you are going on site frequently, but of course, a lot of the mining companies and so forth, they're fairly stringent, especially when it comes to COVID and safety. But in relation to working with those companies and using a system like this, how's it assisted you with being able to prove to those companies, not only your safety procedures, but also that your people are compliant with COVID and, moving with the success of JSIS Engineering?
Yeah, so with the 4PS system, we can actually create emails from that system and send on forward to our clients proof of vaccination for our staff, which is typically, as I said before, one of our largest customers is BHP. It's actually due to implement that you need to be double vaccinated from the 31st of this month. So that has become very valuable to us to be able to have that tool. Secondly to that, with our on-site services teams that we have, a couple of years ago, probably 3 or 4 now, we actually had the 4PS team come into our office and actually develop for us a mobile app called 4P. And it was typically developed and targeted for our business after a few conversations with both Mick and Ben. And that system actually allows us to complete our on-site services teams to complete daily reports, what we call butt weld parameter cards, QA machine checklists, and weld traceability sheets. And these systems are actually looked upon by our clients as very valuable. They give them all the QA documentation that they require. And Mick and Ben went a step further and also integrated into those systems for us to actually have GPS tracking. So when we're doing our welds out in the field, it actually targets the GPS location that the welding was being completed and gives the people the longitude, latitude coordinates for it.
And how did your staff also transition, if you can remember back to it? How did they staff transition with using these type of systems? Like I know that Mick and his team with research and recommendations and also the hardware that you needed to be able to use the systems. And of course, a lot of training would have had to have taken place for staff to be able to use it. I have spoken to a number of Mick's clients and sometimes the transition has been difficult. We know that it has to be accepted, most employees, and it can be difficult. Any change is always one of those things. But how did your staff itself manage to do that transitional period?
Yeah, thinking back to that time, I suppose we always assumed that we would come up against some difficulties. I suppose that's with anything that you're looking at introducing throughout a business. We're very fortunate that from the ownership down to probably second tier management, we had great support, and those managers and the managerial teams pushed the changes back down to our staff levels on the coalface. And with the support, I suppose, then of the supervisors at the coalface, which we had some concept that they would be the most difficult because of they had been with our company. Typically, our 3 supervisors at that time had been with our company for probably more than 20 years each, and that meant that they have obviously got used to the processes and procedures that they've used over the last 20 years. However, when we explained it to them and showed them how easy it was to use and that they could use it from their mobile device or either from these tablets that Mick and his team sourced for us, once they actually started, they were like, this is so good. We don't have to do all this manually. Normally, they would have to write it all by hand, do every transaction by hand. So once they started it and then they ran with it with their teams, it was actually very pleasing to see the system get accepted quite well. And from that, they've actually come back to us, those teams, and asked us to develop more more forms throughout that 4P mobile system, which we have.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I do here is once they get there, they realise the benefits quite well, and it's great to hear that Mackay Safety was able to assist JSIS Engineering in making that happen and developing it specifically for the company, and that's one of the beauties of what they do. It's not just one plan fits all. It's designed to specifically fit one company only. But okay, JSIS Engineering, what's getting you excited? What's next for the business? What's some of the exciting things that you can see on the horizon?
Yeah, for us, I suppose the excitement started for us probably around February of last year. The previous owner that established and founded the business in 1988 John Shepherd, he decided to move on and move into a semi-retirement role. And our business was taken over by two new directors, Duncan Sanford and Darren Anderson. And those gentlemen have come in and injected a lot of excitement into the team, as they've got different visions about JSIS and where it should be. And we're definitely moving more towards some more underground mining aspects. That's where we've picked up our MDG 3608 compliance, as we see that could be the next step or the next leaps going forward. We are probably one of only of maybe even a handful of people that have that compliance in Queensland, and we're looking forward to actually the next challenges to keep that going forward.
Okay, well, some exciting stuff, and it's there's a long future within mining, no matter what anybody wants to say in that respect, and there's a lot of it as well. And with the new minerals, well, not the new minerals, they're the old minerals, aren't they? A number of other different areas that a lot of people are getting into. But thank you very much for joining us, Anthony. Much appreciated. If people if people do want to get onto JSIS Engineering, how can they do that?
Yeah, they can contact our office here in North Mackay, or they can log on to our website, which is www.jsis.com.au, and fill out a contact form there, and they'll be directed to one of our friendly staff members who will come back in contact with them.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for that, Kieran.
You've been listening to the Mackay Safety Our Clients podcast, brought to you by 4PS Software and the Bullion Group. To find out more, including how Mackay Safety can assist you with implementing work health and safety initiatives within your business, go to mackaysafety.com.au.